Bob Dylan has always been one of music's most mysterious and introspective figures, constantly reinventing himself and refusing to be boxed into any single identity. Born Robert Zimmerman to a Jewish family in Minnesota, Dylan's Jewish roots were a known but often understated part of his early life and career. However, in the late 1970s, Dylan stunned fans and critics alike when he openly embraced Christianity, marking one of the most controversial and misunderstood chapters of his life. According to Dylan, this shift was not an act of rebellion or rejection of his upbringing, but the result of a deeply personal spiritual awakening that he felt compelled to follow. At the time, Dylan described feeling spiritually lost, emotionally exhausted, and overwhelmed by the weight of fame, creative pressure, and personal turmoil. Despite global success, he felt an inner emptiness that music and celebrity could no longer fill. Dylan later explained that his turn toward Christianity came during a period of intense introspection, when he began questioning the meaning of his work, his relationships, and his place in the world. He spoke about feeling called toward faith in a way that was sudden yet unavoidable, describing it as an experience that overtook him rather than a decision he carefully planned. This spiritual transformation profoundly influenced his music, resulting in albums like Slow Train Coming, Saved, and Shot of Love, which openly explored Christian themes such as redemption, judgment, and salvation. These records shocked longtime fans, many of whom struggled to reconcile Dylan's new lyrical direction with the countercultural icon they had grown up admiring. The backlash was intense, but Dylan remained unapologetic, insisting that artistic honesty required him to express what he truly believed at that moment in his life. What made Dylan's shift even more controversial was the perception that he had abandoned Judaism entirely. Dylan later clarified that his journey was far more complex than that narrative suggested. He did not view faith as a rigid, exclusive identity, but as an evolving spiritual relationship. He acknowledged that Judaism shaped his moral framework and worldview, even during his Christian period. Still, at that time, Christianity offered answers he felt he desperately needed. Dylan described his conversion as a response to existential fear, mortality, and the desire for spiritual certainty during a chaotic phase of his life. Fame had isolated him, and the pressure to constantly define himself for the public left him craving something stable and absolute. Over time, Dylan's public expressions of faith softened, and his music gradually moved away from explicitly Christian messaging. While he never formally renounced his Christian beliefs, he became increasingly private about his spirituality. In later years, Dylan was again seen engaging with Jewish traditions, attending religious events and acknowledging his Jewish heritage more openly. This led many observers to conclude that Dylan did not simply replace one faith with another, but instead walked a winding spiritual path that reflected his lifelong resistance to labels. Dylan himself has hinted that faith, for him, is not about permanence but about truth as it reveals itself in different stages of life. Dylan's spiritual journey mirrors the themes that have always defined his art: restlessness, transformation, and the search for meaning. Just as he shocked audiences by going electric in the 1960s, his embrace of Christianity challenged expectations and forced fans to confront their own assumptions about identity and belief. Dylan has repeatedly stated that he owes nothing to public expectation, believing that authenticity matters more than approval. His faith journey, like his music, was never meant to comfort others, it was meant to be honest. Today, Dylan's reflections on that era reveal a man who understands the confusion it caused but does not regret it. He views his Christian period as necessary, even essential, to his survival at the time. Rather than framing it as a rejection of Judaism, Dylan suggests it was a chapter in a lifelong spiritual exploration. His story challenges the idea that faith must be static, showing instead that belief can evolve as life itself changes. For Dylan, spirituality was never about choosing sides, it was about seeking truth, even when that search led him down controversial paths.